Your Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely regret that it was not possible for me to join you at this important event. It has coincided with the plenary session of the Convention subsidiary body on scientific, technical, and technological advice, which requires my full and undivided attention. The work of the subsidiary body is contributing to the preparation by the 196 contracting parties to the Convention of the Post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework, a new global framework in which all stakeholders, all organizations, and the United Nations system as a whole will have an essential role to play. In the Global Assessment Report on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, prepared by the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, governments have made it clear that the global biodiversity objectives, including those of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, will only be achieved through transformative changes in our economic, social, political, and technological systems. The 5th edition of the Convention's Global Biodiversity Outlook also calls for a shift away from business as usual across a range of human activities and outlines 8 necessary transitions addressing land and forest, sustainable agriculture, food systems, fisheries and oceans, cities and infrastructure, fresh water, climate action, and One Health. These are not changes that can be achieved through conservation measures and by the environmental community alone. Biodiversity is an issue at the intersection of the 3 pillars of sustainable development: social, economic, and environmental. That is why it is essential that the United Nations works in a coordinated unison. The Post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework will provide a universal framework for all stakeholders, including the United Nations, to take cooperative and urgent actions to put biodiversity on a path to recovery for the benefit of the planet and the people. And the work that has been launched today, the Common Approach, the Environmental Management Group report on the Global Biodiversity Agenda, and the United Nations System Commitment for Action provide the mechanism through which we in the UN system shall work together for this purpose and towards the 2050 vision of living in harmony with nature. They will serve to demonstrate to all actors that the United Nations system is ready to support transformative changes and facilitate a shift away from business as usual. I will therefore like to applaud our Secretary General of the United Nations for his leadership to put biodiversity and nature at the heart of the United Nations work. In this regard, we thank the Chief Executive Board for their agreement on the common approach to integrate biodiversity and nature-based solutions for sustainable development into the United Nations policy and program planning as well as delivery. We thank the Environment Management Group and its 51 agencies, their heads of the agency, and all staff who have been part of this work and thus part of the solution. And thus acknowledge the great steps that have already been taken by several agencies to mainstream biodiversity in their work and across their organizations. I look forward to continuing our work together to support our member states in the preparation of the Post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework, and most importantly, to support its full and effective implementation. As we continue our celebrations of the International Day for Biological Diversity and look forward to the celebrations of the World Environment Day, let us remember that we are all an essential part of the solution. I am part of the solution, And you, I thank you for your attention.